So today we're going to be talking about fence building. I'm going to put the medical stuff on hold. So this is my Kubota 2501. I can't remember what it's called. So it's a small medium-sized tractor. I put a stump bucket on the front of it. This thing is pretty cool for digging your footings. So we're going to walk down here to our privacy fence that we've been building. Again, our house is under contract. This is a whole different story. So here's a problem with off-grid living and people that you run into out here in these areas. It's really important to have a fence no matter where you live. It just puts a barrier between you and the outside world. It's kind of like a legal barrier too. So you can consult with an attorney on all that stuff. I'm far from being an attorney and don't really want to be one either. But from my understanding, having a fence does place boundaries between people. So this fence, it took us a couple of weeks to build. That's just me and my wife doing it. We've still got some to do, quite a bit to do. We're far from carpenters. The other day we were putting in the position to explain why we built a fence. We live in a rural area and we've kind of had some issues with people out here, and we've had a court issue going on with these people, and they said it was weird that we were building a fence. The thing about building a fence, I don't know what's weird about it. So today we're going to start with why to build a fence. One of the big reasons to build a fence is keep people away from your property, keep people off your property. You know, if you've got a fence in place, if somebody jumps this fence and gets hurt over here, I don't know if you're liable for them getting hurt legally. I don't know. But in this part of the world, I guess people think it's weird that you build a fence. So since we moved out here 3.5 years ago, I started writing a book. The funny thing about this, I started writing a book about what we're doing when we were in the hotel room after we closed on our last house. We had the money in the bank and we hadn't moved down here, and we were up there with our kids and everything, and we were in the hotel room. Funny thing is, my wife has a ferret rescue, so we had snuck 12 ferrets into the hotel room along with our little dog. We had a we have a Papillon, but we also have 2 Pomeranians also, but we didn't have the Poms then. So I started writing a book that night. I'm 22 chapters into this, talking about everything that we've done out here. It goes into great detail. You know, you can watch the movie, but the book is always better. This book is pretty detailed in everything that's happened. It goes through the ups and the downs of everything that we've done. Hopefully, probably in the next 3 to 4 months, I'll be able to finish this, but it's kind of like a never-ending project. You know, you've always got something else to add to it. So we've had a twist of some legal stuff going on with people out here. So selling books, you always need the legal, the twist or the conflict in a book to, you know, kind of, you know, get the story kind of at a climax. Like, well, not really a climax, but you know, you've got the problem and then you've got a solution. It's like any movie, any book, you know, it builds up to a point, then, you know, everything gets worked out in the end, however, or the bad guy wins, good guy wins, who knows. So also, we're making a video documentary. So 2.5 years ago, we started buying GoPros. So out here, pretty much every place that we're walking, we have the ability to utilize GoPros. We've had them strapped on our chest, on our heads. We've had them tucked in behind trees, watching everything that we do. You know, it's like there's times where my wife was working on a project and she, you know, if, you know, it's better to get her kind of off guard as far as, you know, videoing what she's doing, because if she knows she's being videoed, she kind of, it's like any of us, you know, unless you're used to talking and walking and doing things in front of a camera, it's pretty difficult to get used to. This is my 6th or 7th video at this point in time. It's a little weird getting used to talking to a camera. You got to think about this camera like another human being standing in front of you. So hopefully in the end, we're going to be able to put, we've got thousands of hours of footage that we, like I said, we started with one GoPro, and then we've just kind of bought more and added more, and we've got different variations of it. I plan to get the GoPro 13 eventually. It's supposed to video a whole lot better. Like any product though, you know, people talk about how great it is until you buy it, and you're like, oh my god, this is a piece of junk. But hopefully the GoPro turns out to be good. This is the GoPro 10 that we're using right here. If you're going to be using one of these out here, if you start doing the same type of project, you really need to look at buying one of these. Now, the crazy thing about the GoPros, this 10, it heats up. That's the only thing I really don't like about it. About the 11-minute mark, it tends to shut down. I think they're designed this way. The sound is amazing. The video, it videos in 4K, it's amazing. You just need to buy a big card for it, because, and have a computer that has at least 1 terabyte of storage, because you're going to use up so much room so quick. And that was something I was unprepared for. I had to buy a new computer along with buying new cameras. Again, this is our fence. Out here, the problem with the fence was we have a lot of rock. So I had to dig down about 2 feet with my stump bucket and pour about 3 bags of concrete with more rocks in it. This fence, it would be difficult to knock down. We put up a barrier the first go around before we put this up, just to kind of keep what we were doing secret from, I mean, there's dust off this road, and we just really didn't want people watching us while we were building our fence. So we put that up the first night that we got that 8-foot mesh screen all the way across here, 100 feet of it. Wind came through and knocked it all down. So we were like, okay, that's not going to work. So we've got concrete footings poured in here. We've got lights on the top. Everything's solar on top. Again, this is it. I mean, this is the off-grid project. We've got about 50 more feet of fence to put in. Again, this is under contract, so we may start, we're going to do this project all over again probably. We've got some property found someplace else, and we're looking at buying that, and just kind of going that route and just doing it all over again, but doing it right. So I had a conversation last night with somebody that's done this as well. So this is something that I've been really wanting to talk about, and I'll talk about it more in depth later on. So I had a conversation with a guy that's doing off-grid also. He's running well pumps. He's running things in his home that is just like what you would have in a normal house, you know, like 220 stuff, well pump, dryer, washer, you know, big 220 items. He has a split phase inverter, which will do 110, 120, and 220, 240. It'll do both. So the problem with doing that, if you decide to do one of these off-grid projects, you don't want anything running 220 at all. You want to design your cabin so it's 110, 120, whichever, 110, I guess. But basically, you want to design it so everything's mini. You want to do as much stuff on the gas side, like our gas range is gas, so it doesn't, we chose gas because it doesn't draw electricity. Our hot water heaters are gas/propane as well. We don't have a well pump. We don't have big refrigerators, freezers like this guy had. We have small things. We have a small refrigerator, freezer, a small freezer. Our washing machine is one of the pedestal washing machine bases. So you pull it out, it's got a small tub, and we've got a little bitty dryer. They're made for like little apartments in big cities. They work amazing for this. So if we have big loads of laundry, we just go to the laundromat. But our small stuff, like, you know, you need a pair of pants and a couple of shirts or something done just for work tomorrow, whatever, you just throw it in there, wash it. Then same thing with throw it in the dryer. They don't make a big draw. They're 110, 120, and they work great. But you've got to style your cabin after everything. You got to think small on everything, and every place in your cabin has the possibility of storage, like steps or pedestals or bases underneath the bed. You literally need to be able to make storage out of everything. We'll get into water systems. There's so much of this stuff. We could talk for weeks on all this. So whenever we do our next project, I'm going to start from the very beginning, and I'm going to walk everybody through this whole thing, from us moving the cabin in to water systems to electricity, the whole 9 yards. So we've probably got, I hope we close on this in the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, maybe. I don't know. Stuff like this falls through. Who knows? It may happen, it may not. But until then, see you next time.